I'd like to start off with a quote from Yin Yang. In order to properly understand the big picture, everyone should fear becoming mentally clouded and obsessed with one small section of truth. Today, I would like for you guys to understand the reasonings for the Three-Fifths Compromise and its effects. Through Dr. Traylor's lecture in Making U.S. History, I've been able to grasp a firm understanding over this topic specifically and how it can affect in our everyday society. Today, I would like to clear the confusion for what the Three-Fifths Compromise isn't about, to share how population size is a huge impact in our political power and government, who the founders and the overall idea was for the Three-Fifths Compromise, and how it affected our government's future. Alright, to start off, who has ever heard of a Three-Fifths Compromise? Perfect. Maybe a little brief review over it. So, the Three-Fifths Compromise was never about racism. Trust me, America was racist a long time before the Three-Fifths Compromise ever came about. The main idea people remember about Three-Fifths Compromise is that 3/5 of every slave was counted in the population. And that you're not wrong, that's right. But unfortunately, this main idea kind of overshadows the reason the whole Three-Fifths Compromise was put in place in the first place. And so we want to remember that it all kind of starts off with how the government was laid out in our Constitution. So, and that brings me into my next point, how based off how our government was created, the population size was a huge impact in the state's power within our government. So, based off our United States Constitution, our government was divided up in a way that allowed the legislative branch the most power within, between the judicial and the executive. And so, if you don't know what the legislative branch is, it's basically Congress, which includes House of Reps and the Senate. And so, in the House of Representatives, each state will be allotted a certain number of representatives based on your population size. And the more representatives you have, the more power you're going to have within this branch and the government overall. And so they found a conflict because at this point in time, slaves were not counted as people within the population size. So they needed to find a solution to see how they would, because the slave states wanted to count them so they could have more representatives, and non-slaves were opposed to this idea. And so that brought us to the Three-Fifths Compromise. So 3 out of every 5 slaves would be counted within the population, which is a huge advantage for the South, which is predominantly slave states. So with this, and this idea was proposed by 2 delegates, James Wilson and Roger Sherman. These 2 delegates were from the Constitutional Convention of 1787. And so this has a huge impact on the slave states as they not only increased in population size, but from that increased in their number of representatives. So with the South being predominantly slave states, they would have the strength in numbers, not only in population size, but representatives. So with this increase in representatives, they would increase in pretty much political power all the way until the Civil War. Due to their number of representatives increasing, they pretty much had control of who was going to be elected as a president until the Civil War came, and that was quite a few of elections from that point until then. And they pretty much stayed at that power constantly throughout that time period. So, to close off, I've explained the reasonings for the Three-Fifths Compromise and its effects. I cleared the confusion on what the Three-Fifths Compromise isn't about, and as well as shared how population size affects political power in the government. I have included who the founders were, as well as the overall idea of the Three-Fifths Compromise, and shared how it affected our government's future. I'd like to close off with a quote from Zig Ziglar. Be careful not to compromise what you want most for what you want now. Thank you.